What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about why European cars are safer than American cars. So, this is actually the first time that I've heard about this, and I have to say, if this is true, then this is extremely concerning. Especially for me as an American, there is no reason why we should have to accept having more dangerous cars here in the United States. If that is the case, then it sounds like we are just accepting that more Americans are dying than have to. And I'm pretty sure that the United States has one of the highest traffic mortality rates as it is. So maybe this actually makes sense. So today, I want to take a look at this video by Not Just Bikes and learn about why European cars are actually safer. So let's take a look.
American SUVs and pickup trucks are dangerous, and there is irrefutable evidence of this. Their extreme weight and stiff frames makes them dangerous to other vehicles in a crash, which has turned road safety into an arms race that favors those who can afford the biggest and heaviest vehicle.
Oh, wait, what? Okay, this is not at all what I expected. I thought this was somehow saying that, a lot of American cars have, safety faults in them, are subject to being fragile or don't protect you very well in a crash. This is actually arguing that American cars, especially the big pickup trucks, which this kind of truck, as crazy as it looks, I do see this exact type of thing out on the road, every day. It's because Americans drive such huge cars, we're killing each other with these giant monstrous killing machines on wheels. Is that what it is? That's okay. That makes sense. That's just not at all what I thought was the problem. Wow.
And their blunt vertical front ends designed entirely for aesthetics are more dangerous to pedestrians. When a person is hit by a car, they're likely to land on the hood, which would not be particularly enjoyable. But a person hit by one of these trucks is much more likely to be knocked back and impact the ground or be run over by the truck.
Oh my god. I had no idea. I'd never thought about that. I think most Americans have never heard of this. It's funny because obviously when you just stop and think about it for a second, if you're in a bigger car and it's one with a flat front bumper, that's more dangerous if you hit somebody else. Which, I don't know. Maybe that's a very, maybe that's a very American mindset to not think about how your car is affecting somebody else. Driving around in a giant truck or SUV, that it actually sounds like that would protect you in a funny way that's actually safe for you because you're in a big, large vehicle. But you're putting everybody else in danger. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Which is why research has found that people are 44% more likely to die when hit by an SUV or light truck than they are if hit by a car. For children, that number was found to be 82% higher. And for children under 10, it's 130%. And
oh my god. I've heard that Americans we're known for having big stuff, including I've heard that our cars are big, but when you're American, when you live here, and this is just normal to you, you don't even think about how the cars are big or that this truck is big. This is just like normal for me, like this truck. You see giant cars all the time. But it sounds like in Europe, for example, this is not so normal. And people aren't in danger of these giant killing machines, these giant cars. Wow.
Pickup trucks are even worse. This 2023 Belgian study found that a pedestrian or cyclist hit by a pickup truck had an almost 200% higher risk of fatal injury than if hit by a car.
Wow.
What's worse is that light trucks are also more likely to crash in the first place. Due to their heavy weight and high center of gravity, SUVs have worse handling than a typical car, and they have longer braking distances too. And they're
Oh my God. They need to, like, do something about this. For one thing, I think America needs to be educated on how dangerous these big cars are. There's no reason, like, sadly, maybe we should be thinking, like, about restricting this size of car, if it means saving people's life. You don't have to have a giant truck. As a matter of fact, it's like a joke. Like, a lot of people in the US who own pickup trucks don't even use the bed, don't even use the trunk for like hauling anything. It's just to have a car that looks cool and is big and makes a lot of noise. That's like the goal for a lot of Americans. So we're literally just driving around these giant cars for no like good reason. And they are dangerous. And nobody thinks about this.
Their high center of gravity also means that they are much more likely to roll over, even at low speeds.
Okay.
Rollover deaths in light trucks were a major problem in the early 2000s, and in response, automobile manufacturers started making their vehicles stronger to avoid crushing the occupants in case of a rollover.
Right.
A major side effect of this, however, is that the pillars of the vehicle, such as this A-pillar, have become much larger, which reduces visibility.
Yeah.
And visibility was
Sure.
already terrible on these trucks because, due to their high height and excessively large hoods, they have insanely huge front blind spots.
Yeah, I mean, I've driven around in my fair share of trucks, giant trucks. I have friends that have giant trucks like this. And when you're sitting up in it, you feel like it's actually kind of cool because you feel like higher than everything and like you're in a tank, but it's not funny. Like, at what cost? And it's so annoying because it's so obvious. It's so obvious, and yet I hadn't really thought about it. But this would absolutely explain why, like, one of the reasons why there are so many traffic fatalities in the United States. We're driving the most dangerous cars. Just normal people are driving these giant things around.
This NBC News investigation showed that 9 children can sit in front of a typical American SUV and be completely invisible to the driver.
Yeah. When you're sitting in these, the hood is gigantic. And yeah, you would have no idea if someone's in the road. Now, to be fair, here in the US, people don't really walk as much. People don't really ride bikes as much. It's mostly just people in cars. But obviously there are people out on the street, it's not that common, but they are there and they're in danger. And if you hit another car with a gigantic car like this, you're going to kill people as well, even if they're inside of another vehicle.
Which is why there's been a steep increase in what are known as front-over and back-over accidents. Someone hit or run over by a truck moving at slow speeds simply because the driver could not see them.
Oh my
And
God.
it's often a parent running over their own child in their driveway.
This is so dark. Like, I knew this was probably not going to be fun to hear. Like, okay, European cars are safer than American cars, but this is dark. Darker than I thought, even though I knew we would be talking about death. And I think the most disturbing thing is this is like very preventable. but we just choose to do this.
Understandably, these kind of vehicles can't pass EU safety regulations, which is why they're illegal in Europe, and thankfully, they can't be sold here.
No kidding. No kidding. What? So in Europe, you don't have giant trucks like this? You don't have giant SUVs? I'm talking about the ones that look like a little bus. I guess you don't have that because they don't pass your safety regulations, which, to be honest, I would agree with that. Why why don't we have stricter safety regulations so that we can sell big cars so that companies can make money selling these? Americans are literally dying for this product. That's so disturbing to think about. I did not know that. You can't even get these in Europe. You guys don't even mess with this.
Or at least, they're not supposed to be. Due to a regulation loophole, thousands of these dangerous American trucks are being imported into the European Union each year, bypassing safety and emissions standards and making our roads less safe. And even as road safety advocates and city councils across Europe are trying to get the EU to plug these loopholes, recent trade talks with the US threaten to nullify vehicle safety regulations completely, which would open the floodgates to these stupid American trucks in Europe.
Wow, we're trying to drag you guys down with us, I guess. That's scary. Sorry about that. So it sounds like in Europe, maybe you do see these, like maybe not so common, but it is possible. But here in the U.S., these types of trucks and gigantic SUVs are so common. You see them everywhere, and you don't even think about how dangerous it is.
EU safety standards for automobiles are significantly higher than they are in the US, both in terms of what is tested, but also who does the testing. U.S. automotive safety testing focuses primarily on occupant safety in typical crash scenarios. One of the only tests that is more strict in the US than in Europe is rollover safety tests, due to the entirely manufactured problem of excessive rollover crashes as American manufacturers started promoting light trucks in the 90s.
Wow, this is actually fascinating. Oh my God. So the safety standards are different in Europe and the US, and it sounds like in the United States, the only thing we care about is if you are safe inside your own car. And we don't care at all about how our car could be dangerous to others. That's such a American mindset, man. Well, at least we kind of care about rollovers, I guess, because that's such a big problem.
But if these stupid American trucks weren't so top-heavy and regular-heavy in the first place, these tests wouldn't be so important, and engineering resources could go into other safety features.
Oh, yeah.
As a result of these testing differences, EU cars are safer than US cars. A 2015 report found that a typical EU car on US roads would have about a 33% lower risk of serious injury than a typical US model.
That right there, literally the data says we are accepting 33% more serious injury in the US. We're just okay with it. I think if more Americans were like knowledgeable about this, maybe people would talk about this more, but this is not even a topic of discussion in the US. It sounds like a huge problem that we don't even know about.
And this doesn't take into account recent safety improvements in Euro NCAP safety standards. Most notably in 2020 when they introduced the Mobile Progressive Deformable Barrier Test for front-end crashes. It took me a couple of takes to get that test name right, but basically, instead of crashing a car against a solid wall, this test uses a crash between the vehicle and a moving trolley to replicate the other car involved in the crash. An important aspect of this test is how the vehicle manages to share the crash energy. In short, if a vehicle is found to be more dangerous to other vehicles, it will lose points off of its safety rating.
Wow. This is so, oh my God, this is eye-opening. Oh my God. In Europe, you guys actually care about everybody in the collision what your car does to the other car and yourself, but in the US, like, we only care about who's driving the car, and it doesn't matter how much danger you're putting others in. And wow.
Which makes sense. Vehicles shouldn't be able to pass safety tests by making the roads more dangerous for everyone else.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
a very common theme when comparing EU to US vehicle safety tests.
Yeah.
US
Yeah.
testing is myopically focused on the vehicle and its occupants, while Europe tests not just the vehicle, but also how it interacts with other road users.
Oh my, I can't get over that. That's so smart and kind of obvious when you think about it, but wow. Wow. Wow.
It's not like pickup trucks are fundamentally illegal in Europe or something. They just need to pass EU safety testing, which is completely reasonable.
Wow.
If you think that signing a deal like this with the US would be disastrous for Europe, I'll put a link to a site where you can find and contact your member of European Parliament.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, it sounds like American car manufacturers are trying to actually get our dangerous cars into Europe, and you can actually like follow this link to sign a petition against that, which is probably a good idea because this I didn't realize America was literally more dangerous with cars, and it's not just because we have bad drivers or bad training. The actual cars, the equipment that we're driving is more dangerous for no reason other than we think it looks cool. We want big cars. And the fact that regulators allow this, like, you can't drive like a gigantic school bus around as a normal person because that's dangerous. You can't drive a semi truck around as a normal person. You need a special license. Why do we allow normal people to drive these enormous pickup trucks? Like, if you've ever seen them in real life, they are gigantic trucks and SUVs that are like normal people probably shouldn't have access to. Like, yes, that is a restriction on our freedom or whatever, but in this circumstance, it's like, yeah, I'm willing to restrict the size of car we're allowed, and we still are like could have pretty big cars. And they even said in Europe, you guys have big pickup trucks. You just make them safer with better safety testing. So many things here that the US could learn from that we should be implementing ourselves that we're not. Unbelievable. This was very eye-opening, very concerning. I'm going to be thinking about this for a while. But I'm glad I saw this. So anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on how American cars are more dangerous than European cars. It is true. Like, and if you're interested in more videos like this, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.